Hello, we are about to head over to Folkways FM for February 2025's Almanac. Before that, just to let you know, I have a beauty of an episode coming up. Our Big Sky is currently scoring the sound for, so that is coming very, very soon. I can't wait to share it with you. In the meantime, let's head over. A very warm welcome to February 2025's Almanac. February is named after an ancient Roman festival of purification called Februar. It was performed to avert evil spirits and cleanse the city of Rome. So if you yourself fancy a very early spring clean this month, then you will be doing as the Romans do. Welsh, Chwefror, Cornish, mis Chwefror, Irish, Fiawra, Scots Gaelic, in Gyaran. In Manx, it's Tarject Ari, which means the origins of spring. And those Anglo-Saxons knew this month as Solmanath. Oh, I'm just going to twiddle with this setting here. Oh, that sounds better, doesn't it? Brigid or Breed oversees February, and I personally always note her presence throughout the whole of the month, not just Imbolc on the 1st. Right up until the spring equinox, the world feels very Brigid-like to me. This time of year is the perfect time to visit a holy well named in Brigid's honour. Whether you know her in her Christian form, St Brigid, or prefer to recognise her older image, Breed. Her name stems from the Proto-Celtic word Briganti, meaning the High One or the Exalted One. The name likely refers to her interesting connection to sunlight and fire, but it may also be related to dawn goddesses across the Indo-European world. However you know her, the frosty, biting end of winter with those snowdrops appearing on the verges is the ideal time to pay her a visit. Of course, one of her most famous places, St Brigid's Well, Kildare in Ireland, is a significant pilgrimage site. St Brigid became St Bride in Britain, a fascinating example being St Bride's Well near Fleet Street in London. There you go, if you're a mover and shaker in the city, you can go and visit her on your lunch break. So the well was traditionally used as holy water, and some sources suggest it was sprinkled along the coronation procession route from the Tower of London to Westminster Abbey, which passed St Bride's Church. A map in the Crypt Museum notes a south door for procession to the well, including its historical significance. So behind St Bride's Church, a tree now hides the well, which was once the primary source of clean water for a part of the city. The building of the former petty crimes prison of Bridewell, which stands nearby, got its name from the well St Bride, which then sparked the tradition of Bridewell prisons. Bridewell prisons mainly dealt with unruly, disorderly, socially difficult behaviours. Although they housed both men and women, through time, Bridewell prisons grew an interesting connection with female prisoners. These prisons often housed prostitutes. They did become deeply associated with the punishment and reform of women. And this connection blew my mind. I did not know that Bridewell was named after St Bride. I just hadn't thought about it. But there's something kind of tragic and poetic, and I don't know, a word that I just don't know, that this beautiful female figure of Brigid, or the goddess Breed if you like, that she became the symbol for women behind bars. There are so many other wells named in Brigid's honour. A few include Mullingar in Ireland, Douglas, Isle of Man, St Bride's Major in Wales, and Kirkham in Scotland. Walker, in his 1883 publication Holy Wells in Scotland, tells us that this last well at Kirkham in Scotland is, quote, remarkable for its pure water, it never dries. There are so many more, so see if there's one near you, but if you can't find one, just paying a trip to your local holy well or spring, whichever diva, demigod or saint it may take its name from, it still seems like a good fit this time of year. If you woke up in Dublin today, you saw the sunrise at 8 a.m. and set at 17:15. Dundee, sunrise 8 a.m. and set 16:50. And Deal, sunrise 7:25 and set at 16:50. This year, the moon becomes full on Wednesday the 12th of February at 1:53 p.m. Names for February's full moon from around these isles include the Snow Moon, Ice Moon and the Hunger Moon, names reflecting the harshness of this time of year. That's why I like reminding myself of these names throughout the year. For the most part, we don't know them anymore. It's just, it's just February's full moon, who cares, right? But becoming even slightly familiar with these old names helps orientate us and gently remind us what our ancestors went through at each stage of the yearly cycle. If you look up at the night sky this month, you will see most clearly Orion the Hunter dominating the southern sky during February evenings. Orion is one of the most recognisable constellations, with those 3 aligned stars that form his belt. Below the belt lies the Orion Nebula, a stellar nursery visible as a hazy patch to the naked eye. Southeast of Orion is Canis Major, home to Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. Following the line of Orion's belt downwards and to the left will lead you directly to this dazzling light. Also look out for Taurus the Bull, Gemini the Twins and Leo the Lion. You'll also see Auriga the Charioteer almost directly overhead during February evenings. Auriga is a pentagon-shaped constellation with the bright star Capella at its peak. From the heavens to the hedgerows, throughout February you may be able to find rose hips packed with vitamin C that can be used for teas, syrups or jams, slowberries, haws, hawthorn berries for jellies and vinegars. You might also see cleavers, hairy bittercress, chickweed, dandelion leaves, dandelion root, which can be roasted for the coffee alternative, caffeine-free, and burdock root. As always, do make sure you know what you're picking before scoffing. Today's place of the month is going to be something a little different. I was moved by a recent Instagram post by Offbeat Films, and they highlighted the work of Alexander Christie, who had photographed different social spaces across the country. Offbeat Films uploaded examples of his work, including South Acton Working Men's Club. It was the backdrop of Only Fools and Horses, and one of the oldest such clubs in the country. It was demolished in 2020, not an uncommon story unfortunately, and these photos of Christie's, including one of the stage with those classic silver tinsel strips behind that a performer might emerge out of, to the shots of worn carpet and chairs stacked neatly in a corner, all signs of human life. I found this very moving. Offbeat Films note that they themselves still host their screenings in Walthamstow Trade Hall, which is still running. But many working men's clubs, as they're called, are not, likely demolished for yet another upmarket development. Another set of photos uploaded was of Bermondsey Scout House, which stood at 45 Jamaica Road until, in 2018, it was again demolished. I never went to this building, I didn't know it, but looking at these photos, it still feels familiar to me. Its style will be recognisable to anyone who went to Girl Guides, Scouts, or just their local village hall or community centre. From the photos, I know what the building smells like, as weird as that might sound, I just know. It's a cultural experience that, maybe we don't hold such things in very high regard, these shabby, well-worn places that we just walk past, taking for granted that they'll just always be there, right? I wanted to read a few lines that Offbeat Films wrote to accompany these images. There are vanishingly few of these kinds of spaces left, but they and the culture they represent can still be saved. They're the home of the real folk, and maybe in a bit more need of attention than sites of ancient centres that are already dead. So I don't agree with the end of that statement. I take the Ethel Calhoun approach, that these ancient sites are the living stones, as she called them. Obviously, she named her book after that. To me, ancient sites are not solely museum pieces. They are here for you now to enjoy, to be part of your life, to munch an apple next to or lean against as you read a book, or even use more ceremonially if you wish. They are part of life now. But that aside, I do fully agree with the previous line regarding these social spaces that Christie photographed as being home of the real folk. That's evidently true and really touching. Life is happening in these spaces, important moments, bonds being formed, moments of real connection that we need. And maybe it's easy to not notice them until they're gone, and we start to lament the good old days when we'd meet in such spaces. So this is your sign, if you feel called, to visit your local community centre. Maybe take a class, go to an event there, add the weight of your boots to those worn steps and carpets. To see us out, here is Sappho to Her Pupils by Lachlan McKinnon, translated by Martin West. Live for the gifts the fragrant-breasted muses send, for the clear, the singing, leer, my children. Old age freezes my body, once so lithe, rinses the darkness from my hair, now white. My heart's heavy. My knees no longer keep me up through the dance they used to prance like fawns in. Oh, I grumble about it, but for what? Nothing can stop a person's growing old. Tithonus, as they tell, was swept away in dawn's passionate, rose-flushed arms to live forever, but he lost his looks, his youth, falling husband of an immortal bride.